Got to give credit to the LA Chargers, specifically Jesse Minter. I thought their collective did the job. Shoot, it's probably midway of the fourth quarter before we converted the third down. And you're not going to win football games not converting third down and losing the turnover battle. And we certainly were loose with the ball in several instances and didn't convert enough third downs. And so that's the end result. There's nothing mystical about it. We'll be back. We'll be better. We have to be.
You serious? The Pittsburgh Steelers have been exposed, and this is pretty much what I've been saying for the last 5 years. Let's talk about it. So, in the last 2 weeks, we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Indianapolis Colts 27-20 and lay an egg against the Los Angeles Chargers, where they just basically got the doors blown off of them. And what you saw in that Chargers game, you saw a team that was out physical. They beat them at every point of attack. They just embarrassed the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we heard what Mike Tomlin had to say about it. And I sat up here and I thought about it for a second, because it seems like I've done so many videos on the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before we get into it, I do want to say that what we're doing with the content over here, we're trying to evolve the content. It's probably going to go into a live content space here in the next couple days. So as I'm doing these stories like I'm doing it right now, you guys will get a chance to participate. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you guys leave it in the comment box below. Really would like to hear your feedback on, do you prefer the live videos or do you prefer the recorded videos? Just leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about that. But I got to get back to what I was saying. The last 5 years with this team is we don't know who the Pittsburgh Steelers are. We know what the Pittsburgh Steelers was built up on. They were built up on blue-collar people in Pennsylvania, the steel mills, the whole nine. That is what the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area is known for, blue-collar hard work. And the Pittsburgh Steelers embodied that. Tough defense, smack-you-in-the-face football, blood and guts, the whole nine. That was their mantra. In 2025, win or lose, the Pittsburgh Steelers do not have an identity. They're having an identity crisis. And you can see from week to week, if you look at the schedule that they played just this year, how 1 week they can't string a winning streak together. They got a couple games in a row, and they look good 1 week, and the next week they look awful. Well, again, this speaks to the identity crisis that the Pittsburgh Steelers has. Now, over the last couple of years, they have amassed a lot of talent. This year, you bring in Jalen Ramsey. You bring in Darius Slay, even though he's an older guy. You've brought in a lot of namesake guys that you felt like that could help the organization and help this organization grow. But this is not really the Steeler way. And I like what Omar Khan has done. He's got more aggressive, taking over for Kevin Colbert, who had kind of got long in the tooth. And when you look at the way Omar Khan goes about things, his aggressiveness I am a fan of. I am a fan of his co-GM and Andy Weidel, coming from the Philadelphia Eagles. They are aggressive. They're trying to build in the trenches. They're trying to make this team formidable. And, building in trenches, that is something where the Pittsburgh Steelers have not been really strong at the last few years. And I think they're going the right way about building the team that way. Toughness, toughness, toughness. But this Steeler team plays anything but tough. They're not a tough team. They're an opportunistic team. We heard T.J. Watt talk about that. We can't win games based off of turnovers. And that's what T.J. Watt said out of his mouth. And if you look at how the Pittsburgh Steelers have played over the last, at least 5 years, their defense is very bend but don't break. And, if they could get 5 or 6 turnovers in a game, great. But they do not play a steady, sound defense, period. I've been ripping the Steelers for about the last 3 years on the way that they deploy their defense out. And we get a lot of excuses from Mike Tomlin about, hey, we don't have this personnel, we don't have that personnel, the components, all the buzzwords. And when I see them, they just are a soft defense. This is not what the Steeler identity is. I grew up as a Steelers fan. I grew up on Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, Levon Kirkland, all of those guys. Then, of course, we had the 70s teams, Mean Joe Green and, all those guys. So the Steelers have been known for their defensive prowess, even when they weren't great. Then you go into the 2000s teams. You had the Troy Palomalus, the Ryan Clarks, James Harrison, Debo, the Brian McFadden's. You had all those guys on that 2008 defense. Pittsburgh Steelers' identity was rooted in defense. And that's not the case now. And when you have a defense that's getting paid over $170 million in salary for a year, and this is the type of production you get from them, something's going wrong. And if you listen to the TJ Watts, a guy who's going to go out there and put his body on the line, one of the greatest pass rushers of this generation outside of Myles Garrett, and he's telling you we can't keep winning on splash plays. This is a schematic thing. And this lays in the hands of Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin. This defense does not play tough, period. They got rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick because they felt like Jalen Ramsey would be a better fit. And me personally, the way they deployed Minkah Fitzpatrick when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was useless in that scheme. But the same principles are applying when Minkah Fitzpatrick was here. They still having communication problems on the back end. Somebody's getting open in the busted coverage. They're just getting ran on. Like they've done a little bit better the last couple weeks, but I mean the holes be the size of the Red Sea. And what they're having, what they have going on is that no one plays with intensity on that defense, because I think Mike Tomlin has lost that intensity. I think he's just along for the ride at this point. Listen, if I had a cushy job and I was making $20 million a year and my job was safe, at least that's the way it looks. That's the way it's been, because I have an owner that is scared to buck tradition. Art Rooney II is scared to make that change because the Pittsburgh Steelers is a brand. And this is a business. And listen, I understand you got to make money, but you have to understand what you're putting out to the fan base too. This isn't a good team. And Art's scared to make that move because he doesn't want to have those low-light type of seasons because, the standard is the standard. Well, the standard has been gone for a long time. The standard hasn't been the standard in a long time. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2016. That standard's gone. The Steelers are known for being in the Super Bowl with the 6 Super Bowl rings, being an AFC, a contender in the AFC, and they've been none of that. They barely scrape by. If they get in the playoffs, they get blown out the first round. I mean, this is not good football to watch. For Pittsburgh Steelers fans, this is not a standard. This is very below average. This is mediocre football. And a lot of it has to do with them having an identity crisis. Now, if you don't want to play the old brand style of Steeler football, and I'm all for adaptation. I talk about that all the time, especially in sports. Either you're going to be a high-flying offense or you're going to be a run-first offense, but what are you? 1 minute they're running Jaylen Warren, The next minute he's getting no carries and they running a cold Kenneth Gainwell. They have no personality, no identity. You're running the 3 tight end system, and you're not even getting these tight ends involved. But when you see the Rams do it, when the Rams run that personnel, everybody's getting the ball. So I just don't understand what they're doing. One minute you have that personnel in, then the next minute you're in a spread system, a 5-wide spread system with tight ends masking as wide receivers. None of it makes sense with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are a dysfunctional bunch. Kind of like my family. Try to be funny here. But they're a dysfunctional bunch. And this is why you're getting the ebbs and flows of the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-4, where they had like a 3-game lead on the division. And if they blow this may be the biggest collapse in Pittsburgh Steelers history. But their schedule does not favor them. They have a Cincinnati Bengals team that beat them up a few weeks ago with the Grim Reaper. Not Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco owns the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Joey Porter, if he isn't holding somebody, he's getting burnt. Darius Slay is long in the tooth. I don't know his status because he got injured the other night. Now, they did bring in Asante Samuel Jr., but he's coming off of a spinal fusion, so it's going to take him some time to get on the field. They're not playing these guys to their strengths. They want to play this lax defense and try to make plays on the ball. And that's just a feast or famine type defense. So this defense that you spent all this money for, these captains that you have on the defense, these Hall of Fame type of players that you got in the Cam Haywards and the TJ Watts and the Jalen Ramseys, none of this is showing up on the field. Pittsburgh has one of the worst defenses in the league. They're not that far off from the Cincinnati Bengals. So, like, this season right now is starting to look like a total disaster. And their schedule does not favor them at all. Let's take a look at their schedule. So, they have the Bengals in Pittsburgh, which is not a home field advantage at this point. Then they have the Bears in Chicago, with Ben Johnson having that team playing as well as he can have them playing. Then they have the Buffalo Bills. Then they have the Miami Dolphins. Now, Dolphins aren't a good team, but if they feel like showing up and start throwing the ball over the field, Pittsburgh is susceptible to lose that game. Then they have the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Then the Browns game is probably going to be whatever. But then they have the Ravens at the end of the season who are on the heater right now. They can possibly lose, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They could possibly, if you just look at the record and look at the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the opponent, it's a possibility that they could go 2-6 the next 8 games. They're in a world of trouble. And this team has to figure out who they are. Either Jaylen Warren is going to be your lead back, and you're going to start to run the ball more, become a run-first team. You got all these big guys, these big tight ends. You got big Darnell Washington, who's the extra lineman pretty much, and run the ball, become a run-first team, or you go be a team that wants to air it out. But you have to figure out who you are in this offense. This defense has to figure out an identity. Are they going to be opportunistic defense, or are they going to become steady at this point? Are they going to be a steady bunch that's an aggressive bunch? They have to figure out what they are and who they are. And what I've learned is watching the Pittsburgh Steelers over this time under Mike Tomlin is that they're having an identity crisis, and they're trying to be too many things versus being what they're supposed to be. And this is why you have a Pittsburgh Steelers team that is 5-4, and you don't know if they're going up or down one week to the next. They're a bipolar bunch, and it shows. And, me personally, I'm starting to think it's going to be nails in a coffin because Art Rooney is not going to be able to get out of this. He's going to have to make a tough decision this year. And I think this is the first time that he's going to have real questions on his hands about Mike Tomlin being the head coach. Because if you keep Mike Tomlin, then it's on you as an organization. This is not a gold standard organization anymore. That was yesteryear. Stop living off the past. That ain't you. The future Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025 is a bipolar organization that has an identity crisis. And this is why you have a mediocre team the way you have them right now. Does not matter the names you have on this team, whatever the case may be. You have guys playing out of position. They're not playing to their strengths. And you do not have a core identity and a foundation for the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point in time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I definitely want to drop this video because watching the Pittsburgh Steelers is like plucking out your eyelashes. It hurts. It hurts. They're just not a good team to watch. 1 minute they look good, the next minute, man, I'm just done talking about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. To the next video. Peace.
Boys, it's the Tomlin playset.
Set it up!
And watch your kicker boot another three-pointer.
Field goal!
Comes with Coach Figure guaranteed to finish 9-8 every single season.
And kicked it! Another field goal!
It's the Tomlin playset, the only football toy that always goes 9-8. Call the shots with Coach T, rack up threes with the spring-loaded kicker, and watch old man quarterback's arm barely move.